The name of this training session is entitled Getting Serious About Success Using Successmaker. Before we get started, we need to identify the basic needs. The basic needs of a school or district that is looking to implement a Successmaker into their strategy. Usually you have some low test scores. Intervention is needed. You need data specific information. Your measurement of success of students will be based on benchmark grade levels in both reading and math in the states of Louisiana. We are measuring the success rate of the program guarantee of Successmaker, which is 1 grade level improvement with program recommendation. Data is recorded weekly, bi-weekly, and every 12 weeks. Everyone will not be excited. Everyone wasn't excited, but they realized early on that this was a requirement. What is RTI? RTI is response to intervention. It's a multi-tier approach to the early identification and support of students with learning and behavior needs. The RTI process begins with high-quality instruction and universal screening of all children in the general education classroom. Struggling learners are provided with interventions at increasing levels of intensity to accelerate their rate of learning. These services may be provided by a variety of personnel, including general education teachers, special education teachers, and specialists. RTI is designed for use when making decisions in both general education and special education. What is Successmaker? Successmaker is an individualized learning program. Let me stop right there where it says individualized. Individualized and differentiations are 2 big words that are usually utilized in the education field. Individual, that means each individual student will achieve a level of learning at different paces. It's hard for a teacher to usually embrace the fact of the matter is that there are not 2 students in the classroom that learn the same way. It can't happen. So that's why a program like Successmaker is so important. It's a great tool. It's an individualized learning management system that focuses on reading, math, science, writing from grades K through 8th. How does it work? Well, we're going to begin talking about initial placement motion. With IPM, the software monitors a student's progress for a certain number of exercises or sessions. The software uses that information to place the student at a level that is neither too easy or too difficult. Again, the level isn't too easy and it surely isn't too difficult. Initial placement motion. For you to get an idea of how long a student will have come in contact with an exercise in math, a student, in order for them to get out of initial placement, will have had 300 exercises. In reading, just completed 10 sessions to get out of initial placement. In initial reading, 200 to 220 exercises. And in Reader's Workshop, 250 exercises. In order for you to embrace Successmaker and the use of Successmaker, you have to understand the approach. You have to understand the approach. Well, the first thing that I want you to know is that a teacher usually comes into a lab and asks the question, how many times will a student see a question before it is viewed as completed or mastered? Well, a student has to have seen it and gotten it correct 6 to 8 times before it is viewed as a completed skill. Alright? Now, if that does not happen, the program will then go into intervention mode. Intervention mode will do these 3 sequences of events. It will focus on sequential practice. Okay, sequential practice is when the student receives more exercises of the same type. Another is tutorial, where the student then will receive step-by-step instructions on how to complete the process. And then the prerequisite skill is when the student receives exercises from previously presented skills. So, the intervention mode of the program, a student can see this intervention mode a total of 20 times. After 20 times, the student will then move into what is called the delayed presentation mode. Okay, so again, this is a very systematic approach. You need to know it. You have to learn it to embrace the possibilities of Successmaker and the possibilities of you achieving a high level of success utilizing the program. Why does my district want us to use Successmaker? Well, Successmaker is evidence-based instruction. It provides a student with differentiated, there goes that word again, differentiated, sufficient academic engagement times. It provides sufficient academic engagement time. It allows the student to have adequate time for practice and utilizes real-time use of data, and it's the best use of technology in the classroom today. What do I do as a teacher? I want you to know Successmaker is only as good as the way it's used. Successmaker, in other words, is only as good as you make it. So consistency here, I say, is the key. Students who attend the lab 5 times a week in 30-minute intervals do better than students who come inconsistently. I encourage you to be on time. This allows students to be conditioned to work in both math and reading in equal intervals. You will then eliminate the mindset of a child wanting to choose whether or not I'm going to do math or reading today while you're monitoring a classroom full of 24 students and computers. You need to keep in mind as a teacher that the intervention goes beyond the lab and includes the uses of worksheets and grouping data. Classroom management. In the beginning, students will need to know where they should sit. This is important for accountability. Students need to be accountable for the equipment. They should not be interrupted in the middle of the program, for instance, to go to the restroom or to talk, unless it is a necessary emergency. Remember, accountability for teachers is the key, so you need to make sure you're maintaining your classroom management effectively. I like to say in the labs, whatever you reinforce will reflect. If you're reinforcing this kind of behavior in the classroom, you need to be reinforcing it in the lab as well. Teachers should be visibly engaged with all students. All students, not some, with all. Again, you can't do that all at one time, but just make sure you're moving around the lab and moving about the lab, answering basic questions, but allowing the students to be guided through the process of learning. I want you to stay away from common misconceptions. Successmaker time isn't your break time. In fact, to be honest, when you first begin this process, it's going to be a time where you're going to do a lot of work. Okay? I also want you to avoid the common misconceptions that learning, I don't want you to think that learning takes place just through exposure. You have to practice. Okay? Just by students seeing something does not mean that they will learn something. Be willing to put in your time and put in work with your worksheets and your small groups. You need to be willing to embrace the data. If a student is functioning below the 40th percentile, then there's evidently a problem. Either there's a learning problem or there's a behavior problem. You need to be clear by utilizing your data, and what I'm going to ask that you do is to zero in on areas of difficulty. You can do this by identifying your weaknesses, using your progress monitoring data, using your RTI intervention charts. Measuring success. Reports are matriculated through the system daily, utilizing last session reports as well as ongoing course reports. Success will be measured through intervention charts and progress monitoring. The principal will receive reports daily about individual class progress using Excel. How will my students benefit? Your students will benefit. Your motivation is they will get higher scores. The program will then motivate the students. I want you to know that while these students are walking through the program, they will get feedback. Great job, awesome, hot rod, good job. These are the kind of motivational feedback that the kids will be receiving through the program. This program is efficient and effective. What's the program guarantee? The program guarantee is one grade level with 25 hours of login exposure, adequate feedback, and intervention. I'm near concluding I'm near the conclusion point of this session, but I want you to know the incentive aspect of this is just as important, because in a digital environment it's usually hard to have some kind of ownership, especially as it relates to young learners. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have some kind of incentive plan to reward your student. If a student makes 100%, the student should receive a certificate. This is just a suggestion, please keep in mind. Another suggestion is to have the whole class celebrate when somebody makes 100. The class with the highest average at the end of the 6 weeks receives an incentive. I told you, Successmaker is only going to be as good as you make it. You have to take ownership. You have to be motivated. You can achieve success utilizing Successmaker. Now what I want you to do is go out there and make it work. Have it work, enjoy your work, have fun doing it. Thanks so much.